All right, everybody, welcome back. We've got some more day three corners now. We are definitely getting down to the end of the really interesting guys, but we're always trying to look for sleepers. We're always trying to understand what's going on at the bottom of the draft. The later you get in the draft, I think the more likely you will see teams start to take BPA, so it becomes more likely that a cornerback ends up being a pick. I don't think anything's impossible, but I think it is certainly unlikely that this team spends a high pick on a corner. So let's try to understand what we're dealing with here. We're going to start this video with Jarvis Brownlee Jr. of Louisville. Couldn't find his age, 5'10", 194 pounds, so he's short. Got decent girth to him at least, but he is short. 31 and a quarter arms, 9 hands. Big board. CBS has him barely getting drafted. Draft Network and Walter Football have him in the early-ish third. PFF has him in the fourth. ESPN has him in the fifth. So the aggregate kind of splits the difference and puts him in the fourth. Very productive 2 years ago. 66 tackles, 12 passes defensed, 2 picks. Last year, production went way down. He was still a good player, but 6 passes defense, 30 tack. I don't know. It's just always kind of interesting when you see stuff like that. But he was still good. He was still a good player. So Brownlee Jr., what he's bringing to the table from Louisville. He played a lot outside at Louisville, but he did play some slot, which is good because in the NFL, he's probably only going to be playing slot, which is also kind of unfortunate because there are some things about his skill set that I like from the perspective of an outside corner, but it's probably not going to work. So his change of direction is quick and explosive. He has the ability to quickly change direction and keep up with guys in and keep up with the offenders. Excuse me. He's got a good jam that he can put on receivers. He's good with his hands at the line of scrimmage, which that's part of the reason why him being slot only in the NFL probably is disappointing. He's nimble enough to stick with a man running a route. So he's got good footwork. He's got good short area quickness, and that's going to really help as he moves to the slot. He reads route patterns and acts well on those reads. He can kind of pick up on what's going on based on his based on what he sees when he's hanging in zone. And that's going to be, I think, one big draw of him. He's good in zone. You allow him to read the play, he can read the play. So Jarvis Brownlee Jr., some things are nice. I'm a little bit less interested in what he's bringing because I think it's somewhat narrow. He's physically weak. He's going to get physically bullied by bigger receivers. They're just going to push him around and make a lot of contested catches on him. And it's not like he's going to get bigger at this point. Not really anyway, so he can't do much about it. Like I said, he's probably going to be a full-time slot in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be able to hold up in the outside. He's 5'10". He does have some weight to him, but 5'10 is 5'10. That's tough to get around. He's a pretty average all-around athlete. There's nothing about his athleticism that stands out. Average speed, quickness, average acceleration, average explosiveness. It's just all kind of like, yeah, it's okay. So a lot of these NFL players he's going to get matched up against who are way better than okay in those areas are just going to have him outmatched. He's not very disruptive at the catch point, and I know that sounds weird to say given how many PBUs he has over the last 2 years, but he's somebody who really gets shut out at the catch point, I feel like, because he is smaller. And he does give up a lot of separation because he just can't hang with these guys running in a straight line. It's disappointing that one of his best skills is something that he won't get to use that much in the NFL because slot corners don't chuck a lot. But he still has the quickness to stick with his man from the slot. He still has the ability to play slot in the NFL. So he'll be valuable in that capacity. But that's not enough for me to go any higher than the 5th round on. I think he's a 5th round guy. Just too much limiting him, too much holding him back. And I can't really go here until about the 5th. Next guy we have Elijah Jones of Boston College. Boston College, couldn't find his age. Decent size, 6'1.5", 185, so he's a little bit thin, but he could add weight, and he probably will. 31.5-inch arms, 9.25 hands. The testing was actually really good. He ran a good 40, average acceleration, but he jumped almost 43 inches and jumped almost 11 feet on his broad. So athletically, he is really, really good. and that is going to be one of his big draws here. The big boards pretty much all put him around the 4th round. The aggregate puts him in the 4th round. The numbers over the last 2 years are actually good. 7 interceptions, 60 tackles, 21 passes defensed. I mean, that's some production, right? That's ball production you usually don't see this late in the draft. If you could get a guy with that kind of ball production in the 4th round, you'd probably feel pretty good about that. So, yeah, the ball production is the thing that really stands out. His ability to take it away and disrupt catches is really, really strong. He's got a lot of length and he knows how to use it. That's how he makes so many of his pass breakups. He is so long, he can get his hands in there when most corners wouldn't be able to. He was a 5-year starter in college, so he's seen it all. He's got experience in pretty much everything you could imagine that came up over so many starts. He flips his hips really well when he goes from the back pedal to the straight line run. His hip flipping is very fluid. He's a good tackler. So he's bringing a lot of positive traits to the table here. He doesn't have the straight line speed to hang with the receivers in man. So I do think he's probably better off at least getting some zone reps, which obviously here would be fine, but he doesn't have that true flexibility. I think his lack of strength shows up sometimes. He gets out physicaled, makes me think he needs to add a little bit of weight. His acceleration is pretty slow, and receivers are able to build separation on him because he can't get up to full speed quickly after transitioning or after changing direction. So there's a little bit of a narrow use case here with Elijah Jones. But I think he's going to be really good in zone coverage as a ball hawk corner. You just let him sit back in zone, let him read the offense, read the play, read the route combos, and go make a play on the read. He's obviously going to lose value when he's removed from that role, but as long as you keep him playing zone, allowed to keep facing the line of scrimmage, I think he'll be really good. So I would go for it in the 4th round. I think 4th round strikes about right. I like him a pretty decent amount for a cornerback in this area of the draft. So that is what I think of Elijah Jones. We got one more guy for this video, and we've got a really interesting one here. Kalen King. Kalen King of Penn State. I don't know what to make of this one. This one's tough. So follow my lead here on this one. So Penn State, Nittany Lion, only 21. Most people in this draft at this point are 23, 24. So, okay. 5'11", 191 pounds, so about average size. 30 and 7/8 arms, a little bit short, but not critically so. 8 3/4 hands. Testing was not very good. 4.61 40 stands out very negatively. The other scores are pretty average. Big boards, all over the place. ESPN has him barely getting drafted. CBS has him in like the 5th or 6th. PFF has him in the 5th. Walter has him in the 4th. Aggregate has him in the 4th. So a lot of the smaller big boards are pushing him up, but the bigger big boards are pretty down on him. So here's the dichotomy here. In 2022, Kalen King was great. And he was, 19 years old? 3 picks, 18 passes defensed, 89 PFF grade. Last year, 2 passes defensed, 0 interceptions, 60.3 PFF grade. Fell off a cliff. So we have to figure out why that happened, and we have to figure out what he is as a prospect going forward. So when Kalen King was on in 2022, he was so well-rounded as a prospect. His ball production was incredible. I want to point out that he is young. He's only 21. He can still develop. He can get better. He's got smooth transitions from his back pedal to his run when he flips the hips. I like the way he transitions from a back pedaler to a runner. His awareness and knowledge is really good in zone. He's a very savvy player with his instincts and his awareness of the play as it develops. He's an effective tackler. He's not a great tackler, but it's fine. He plays physically in coverage, not critically so, but he is a physical guy. He's really smart. He processes information very well. He looks at what's going on in front of him, figures it out, and then makes a play based on that knowledge. Really good. But None of these traits showed up that well in 2023, right? 2023, he looked more like the guy who runs a 4.61 40 and can't keep up. So what is he? What is Kalen King? I don't know. He's slow. His click and close is very clumsy, so I don't know about him in zone on that capacity. It's like he knows stuff to mitigate the fact that he's physically not really capable of keeping up. He doesn't really have strength. He gives up a lot of cushion and allows easy catches. So it's one of those things where it feels like he's not a very good athlete. And for a year, he was able to get by on his smarts and his brain. And then last year, the smarts couldn't bail him out anymore. I don't know. That's kind of what I think is going on here. But it's weird, right? How do you get this much worse when you go from 19 to 20? So he's a little bit of a mystery, but right now I think we have to take him as he is. He's a slow, mediocre athlete with mediocre size. He's got smarts, but I don't think he's athletic enough to get it done in the NFL. I don't think so. So sixth rounder. I would take him in the sixth round and maybe cross your fingers, but this is the Hail Mary here, and this is not the Hail Mary that I feel good about. Like a couple years ago, Reek Woolen, or at the time, Tariq Woolen. That was a Hail Mary I felt good about. This is a Hail Mary that I'm not feeling so good about. So, Kalen King pretty down on him. It's kind of crazy what happened here, but it happened. All right, there might be one more video later today. There might not be. We'll see. But we're finishing up cornerback either way. So tune in if you see it. If you don't, I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe I'll see you on stream later. Go Hawks. And we are right near the finish line, people.